Which account should you take your money from first when you retire? That is a common question that we get when meeting with new people. And depending on what you do, it could potentially save or cost you thousands of dollars in retirement income and taxes. And so today we're going to talk about the different strategies of which accounts you can pull from first, and then ways to help keep your taxes down as you do so. Now, before we dive into the strategies and ways to help you reduce your taxes in regards to how much income you'll have going in and taxes going out, it's first important to understand where your money sits today. And your money can sit in three potential tax buckets. So first off, we're going to talk about which tax buckets does your money sit in today, or which account sits in which tax bucket. When can you have access to that money? And then the last part is, how is each tax bucket taxed? Once we understand that, then these strategies that we talk about will make a whole lot more sense. So first off, there's three different tax buckets of where your money might sit today. We've got the taxable bucket. What could sit in there would be like your checking, maybe savings account. This could also be brokerage accounts. Some people would call those joint or individual, or maybe a trust account. Okay, now this bucket here, you can have access to it at any time. Anytime, any age, you have access to this bucket. And then how is it taxed? Well, you're going to be taxed on dividends, interest, and gains is how you are taxed there. Okay, our next bucket, the tax deferred bucket. Which accounts sit in the tax deferred bucket? Well, some examples would be a 401k, 403b, 457. This could also be an IRA, SEP IRA, simple IRA. I think you get the point there. All the IRAs, tax deferred money is money that you put in, you got a tax deduction. All right, so when you take money out of this bucket, you are going to pay income tax on every dollar that you take out. The other key things to know in regards to the tax deferred bucket is you have access to it after age 59 and a half without any sort of penalty. And then this is also the bucket in which you have to do the RMDs, the required minimum distributions, or the forced distributions that you'll have to take out of this bucket. Our last bucket that your money could potentially sit in is the tax-free bucket. Now, what would sit in there is any sort of Roth account. That could be a Roth IRA, a Roth 401k. When you put money in, you paid tax on the money that you put in, but money that you take out of this bucket comes out to you all tax-free. Same thing here, you have access to this bucket after age 59 and a half without any sort of penalty. There are no required minimum distributions or forced income from the tax-free bucket. Okay, now that we've talked about the different buckets in which your money sits in, so hopefully now you can look at your accounts and you say, okay, my money sits here, here, and here. Let's talk about the strategies to utilize in regards to which bucket should you take your money from first. Now, before we get into the strategies, I'm certain that you're already seeing that retirement's going to revolve around a lot around taxes, and what you do in regards to taxes can help maximize your income and keep more in your pocket. If you haven't yet, download our free guide to unlocking hidden tax savings opportunities. You can get it at lifemoneyshow.com/taxes. Again, lifemoneyshow.com/taxes, or we'll also put a link in the description below. What it is it's a guide of tax savings opportunities. What it does is it's providing you actionable advice and a checklist to utilize, but most importantly, what it means is it's going to help you understand how to keep more of your hard-earned income and hard-earned retirement savings in your pocket versus giving it to the IRS in taxes. So you can get it at lifemoneyshow.com/taxes, or follow the link in the description below. So which account should you pull from first? Well, we'll start with some of the basic thoughts and strategies that are out there, and then we're going to move into some more of the strategic approaches to help potentially reduce your taxes by thousands of dollars. And I'll share a story with you of how we're helping a client put this into action. So first off, some of the basic approaches in regards to where you should pull your money first. One approach, and I've labeled now the buckets, right? You'll see A above taxable, B above tax deferred, C in regards to tax free. So one approach that some people think or utilize is what they call the pro rata approach, meaning they just pull equal amounts from each bucket. So we've got A, B, and C, and they're pulling equal amounts from each of those buckets. The next, I'll say, basic thought or approach that some people take is what they call as the taxable, tax deferred, then tax free. So they start with bucket A until A is depleted, then they move to bucket B until that's depleted, and then they move to bucket C until bucket C, the tax-free bucket, is depleted. Then the other school of thought is that sometimes people use the tax-deferred bucket first and then move to the taxable and then the tax-free. So they go bucket B first until that's depleted, then they move to A and then to C. Now, the reason behind that thought is that let's just say you retire prior to your required minimum distribution, where they're going to make you take that forced income out of the bucket. Well, you start early on draining your tax deferred bucket because you're going to have to pay income taxes on all of that money. And so hopefully it's going to help reduce your required minimum distributions once you get to retirement. And then you start moving over to your taxable bucket and then your tax-free bucket. So those are some basic thoughts, but here's what I want to share with you. I want to share with you some more strategic thoughts that could potentially save you thousands of dollars in taxes when it comes to your overall withdrawal strategy for retirement and where you should take your money from first. Now, when working with clients, we like to use option 4, which I would say is a more strategic approach. And now everybody's situation is different. You all have saved up different amounts into each of these different buckets. Maybe some have just saved in their 401k. Maybe some have taxable money, tax deferred money, and tax-free money. And you have different amounts in each bucket. So everybody's situation is unique and different to them. There's no one answer in regards to how this should be done. But just let me share with you some thoughts in regards to how to potentially do it and to help keep your taxes down. So my first thought in regards to where you should draw your retirement money from first is actually not where you should take it from first, but where you should take it from last. So my first thought is in regards to the tax-free bucket. I just want to share with you, a lot of times what we're doing with our clients is we want to save that money until last. Or if they need a lump sum withdrawal and instead of pushing themselves up into another tax bracket, we might go and utilize that tax-free money. The reason I say we want to utilize that last, or when I say last, mainly push it into the later years of life, is I believe that over time, because of all the national spending and national debt, taxes are going to go up. Let me know what your thoughts are. What do you believe in the comments below? Leave us a comment. Do you feel like taxes are going to stay the same, go down, or go up in the future? My belief, they'll go up in the future. So if they're going to go up in the future, I would rather save that tax-free money for the future when taxes go up to utilize it then. So first off is where not to pull the money from first. My belief is that we save the tax-free bucket for the future. So where then do we take the remainder of the funds from first? Or which buckets should we go to? And as you'll see on the screen here now, I've drawn one of those, if you remember back to the science days, right? Think about those science cylinders where we would fill them up with liquid. I drew on the left-hand side here our tax cylinder. And you have to think about when you are taking money out, what we like to think about when we're working with our clients is we want to think about taxes. And we want to think about when we're taking money out, will that money add to their tax cylinder or not? So for instance, if you're taking money out of your IRA, your 401k, that tax deferred account there in the middle, every dollar that you take out, you're going to pay income taxes on it. So for every dollar that you take out, might as well just take an imaginary dollar and put it over into your tax cylinder, because that's how they're going to figure out your overall tax burden. So one of the strategic approaches that you could take is managing to a tax bracket, meaning you could fill up the cylinder and only go to a certain tax bracket. So maybe you'll take enough tax deferred money to get yourself to the top of the 22% bracket, and then you'll take tax-free money after that. Or you'll take enough tax deferred money to get you close to the top of the 24% bracket, and then you'll take some taxable money where you're going to get taxed on interest, dividends, and gains. And so that way you're just always going up to the top of a bracket, but you're not going over. So in that approach, which account do you pull from first? You're going to pull from multiple accounts first because you're going to want to manage to a tax bracket so you can level out your taxes over your retirement. I find this is one approach that can help keep taxes down rather than just waiting for those forced distributions later on in life that are going to kick up your taxes on your 401ks, IRAs, etc., because of those required minimum distributions. Okay, so another strategic approach that you can think about is a strategic approach where you're trying to keep your taxes as low as possible at the beginning of retirement, meaning you might want to focus first on the taxable bucket. In that taxable bucket, you're getting taxed on dividends, interest, and gains. And depending on how much gains that you have in that bucket and when you're selling, you're also trying to get the focus more on long-term gains. Or maybe you just have the money sitting in a savings account where it's just looking at interest, right? And you don't have a ton of gains in the account. Either way, right, what we're trying to do is keep the taxes as low as possible in those beginning years of retirement. Why do we do that? Well, what I've found is that a lot of people have saved up into their tax deferred bucket, that bucket that we're saying that we're going to have to pay income tax on. So we keep our income as low as possible from taking from the tax deferred bucket, checking, savings, our joint individual accounts or trust accounts. And while we're doing that, and while we're keeping our taxes as low as possible, then we're also doing Roth conversions. And we're converting that tax deferred bucket, our bucket B, at lower income tax rates. Again, everybody's situation here is unique and different, specific to you based on how much you've saved in each bucket. And if you'll be able to do this strategy, I'll call it the taxable plus Roth conversion strategy. One thing, as I always mention with Roth conversions, make sure you sit down with your financial professional and tax professional in regards to doing Roth conversions. What we do and how we strategize with our clients is we first make sure that they have the income that they need from their taxable bucket, trying to keep their taxes as low as possible. And then what we'll do is we'll fill up the remainder. And everybody might be different. Some people we fill up to the top of the 10% bracket. Some people at the 12% bracket. Some people will do Roth conversions to put them at the top of the 22 or the 24% bracket. But doing those conversions to get them up to a certain bracket, but not over based on what their future tax projection might look like. So where to take money from first? There's a whole lot of different options. If you don't want to think about it from a strategic approach, you could just do it pro rata. However, I think that you might be paying more in taxes than you have to. You could just take some basic rules and do taxable, tax deferred, tax free, or tax deferred, taxable, tax free. Or you can get more strategic, try to keep more of your hard-earned money with you and save it in taxes versus giving it to the IRS. And the strategic approaches that we talked about were leveling out your taxes. So which account would you take from first? It could be a combination, or in the story that I'm going to tell you really quickly here of what we've done with multiple clients, but just one that's come to mind is they had saved up a healthy amount in that taxable bucket. And so we're taking out, basically, we're deferring their Social Security. They're going to live off of their taxable bucket. And then we're doing strategic Roth conversions where they're going to pay tax today at a lower rate. Doing that Roth conversion, again, gets the money from the tax deferred bucket over into the tax-free bucket. Of course, you pay tax today when you do that, so make sure that you're fully aware of that. And that's a more strategic approach, again, to help you get more in your pocket, growing tax-free for your future. Now, you just don't want to look at this for your first year of retirement. As I know the title is Which Accounts Do We Pull From First? You want to look at this for every year of your retirement, each and every year, to see how can we keep down the taxes on the money that you're pulling out. And as you can probably see here on the screen, it's kind of like a game of Tetris. How are all of those pieces going to fit together? As we do that for clients, it's called tax planning. Doing a tax plan and a tax projection for each and every year of your life based on which account you'll pull from first, which account you'll pull from second, or which combination of accounts that you'll pull from throughout your retirement. Hey, as I mentioned before, we do have a guide to helping you unlock hidden tax savings opportunities. As you can see, your taxes are going to have a huge impact on your retirement. You can get it at lifemoneyshow.com/taxes, or you'll also find a link in the description below. What it is it's a guide of tax savings opportunities. It's going to provide you actionable advice and a checklist to utilize so you can help keep more of your hard-earned retirement savings with you in your pocket versus giving it to the IRS. Also, we're continuing to come out with additional videos each and every week in regards to helping you minimize your taxes, maximizing your Social Security, and helping you retire and invest with confidence. So if you want to see additional videos in regards to your retirement, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I hope you found today's video to be of value and benefit. I look forward to our next conversation to helping you enjoy life today and being financially confident about your retirement.